whoop, whoop. Hey everybody, what's up? Y'all know I try not to stay away from y'all for too long. Habari gani? How are you? Habari gani means how are you in Swahili, because I'm studying Swahili and a few other languages, but habari gani to everybody. How are you all? And if you don't follow me, my name is Lavetta Janine, so follow me at my Facebook page, Lavetta Janine. And thank you for all of your likes, loves. Thank you for your shares. I really appreciate that and love you for that. That's how we lift each other up. So I just really want to say thank you, honestly, because sometimes it's easy doing this, but it's not always easy doing this. I watch other people do it, and they do it like a pro. When it's not always easy, but it's getting easy, so, it's whatever. But thank you for all of your love and support. I really appreciate it. But today's topic is unlearning the process and the emotions that come with it. So I just recently took my first flight, and I'm probably on the late freight, as my granny would say, but I think everybody else has flown except me. I don't know if you haven't flown. I always used to think, like, am I gonna die, or is the plane gonna crash, and this and that. I always thought that for years, and I created this little fear about flying. But once I booked my ticket, all the fear just went away. I haven't even flown yet. Once I booked the ticket, it just went away. So I was going to Atlanta to practice some spiritual work. And it was an amazing experience. It was really amazing. I have to give a shout out to the Womb School, because and the Ancestral Way Masterclass and Study Group. This is what I'm going to talk about today: unlearning the process. And we're Africans, we're black people, and we are never going to get anywhere if we don't acknowledge that we're African. And what I mean by that is, when it comes to unlearning the process, I'm talking about unlearning the process about Christianity. And I'm going to be easy with it, but get used to me really expressing myself. This is my page. I'm going to say what I have to say. So this is what it is. And I don't want my fellow Christians to be afraid of this conversation, but fear is one of the emotions that come with this conversation. We have fear, anxiety, we have this worrisomeness that we're going to go to hell, that we're challenging God. When it comes to me and my beliefs, when I was a Christian, obviously for me, it's the same thing for everyone. Your spirituality is the most important thing in this world to you, especially for black people. Our Christianity, our spirituality, or whatever it is, that's the most important thing to you. So for me, seeing everything that was going on in society, and why we're being killed, and the amount of black people waking up, I was forced to make the correlation and really think about what's going on in this world. And I had to think about my history, and I had to think about where I came from, and I had to think about other cultures that we coexist with. And with that, it's like, we're African, but when it comes to talking about Christianity, we don't really want to remember that we're African. And even in this conversation, just stay with me, because this is where we straddle the line, and we don't want to think, but the purpose of racism and the system that they have, you don't think it has anything to do with you being Christian and you going to church and you doing your thing in your black community. You don't think racism have nothing to do with that? But it has everything to do with it. It has everything to do with all parts of your life, as a matter of fact. So, we don't really want to admit that we stem from African people, because we are black. Therefore, we come from African people. We come from Africa. that would have to mean that we have to understand and or accept the fact that we went through slavery. That would have to mean that we would have to accept or understand. You don't have to, when I say accept or understand, I say that because I don't want Christians to feel like when we talk about this that you have to convert yourself from Christianity. But with my own beliefs, I'm going to just say it, I believe that no black person should ever be Christian again. And I only say that because of the messed up mindset and situation to where we can't talk about, we can't talk about what happened to us. Not only talk about it, but we can't get a solution out of what happened to us. But that's my opinion. But we have to understand that we did go through slavery. That would mean that, they did force, they forced colorism upon us. They forced putting us against, the youth, against the elders and all of that stuff. They forced a religion on us. And, when you hear these Medea plays and stuff like that, and, it gives you an excuse to keep going back to Christianity in spite of what they did to us. But the thing is, we don't know how much power we hold, and we wonder why we feel so suppressed. We wonder why there's always something nudging our soul, because we know we're not free. We know that we're not totally free. We know that we're black. We know that we're in a white society. And we don't want to understand that. We don't want to talk about it. We don't want to accept it. We don't want to, because that would have to, it will challenge you. And the emotions that come along with this, like from my personal experience, it was a very sad experience, because when you start to talk about this, you don't want to think, how could Jesus Christ, do this to me, and you probably thinking all kind of thoughts, how could my own God do this to me, or how could I have done this to myself? And then you thinking, so Jesus is not real, but he is real, but are you telling me that he's not real? It's a lot of thoughts that go on in our head, especially as Christians, because we don't know who we are, and we don't want to talk. We want to learn our history. So I'm not going to say that we don't, because we do. But what I'm saying is, we don't want to take the step to rid Christianity. And that's a very hard thing to do, for someone to tell you that your belief is false. It's a hard thing to do, to learn about, how did you get into your beliefs. It's a hard thing to do, to just even begin to have the conversation about it, because it's a scary conversation, and it's going to be scary, but you have to understand that you got to understand that you're African. You got to understand that you're black. You got to understand that you came from a great lineage, and that, racism wanted to control you because you have a lot of power. And this is another thing when it comes to talking about racism. Some of y'all have white friends. I've never been friends with a white person long enough to be friends with them. I'll befriend people, but they won't be friends with me long enough. But you don't want to make them uncomfortable. You don't want to make them uncomfortable, and it's because of our programming. Everything we see that is white is good. Everything we see that is black is bad. and it's just a repetitive thing. And it's going on today. It'll go on tomorrow. So as long as you keep watching TV and, you know, not putting the effort to understand the imagery, the propaganda that is made to be normal for us so we can accept Christianity. That's why I say you have those lists of things that I gave you guys to research. You know, you should probably research them. You know, it's your own choice, but, you know, you need to research the Council of Nicaea. That was a group of white people who came together and decided. Now, I read about the Council of Nicaea in high school, but I didn't, you know, they don't teach you what it has to do with you as an African. So basically, it was a whole bunch of white people, Romans or whatever, Greeks, who got together to create this character, Jesus Christ. To create him, and you know, they created it from some pope, you know, Caesar Borgia, the son of some pope, and, you know, how they would distribute this across the world. That's what that is. And you also need to look up Horus, Heru. You know, this is where they got the information from. So when I talk to Christians, you know, in honor of having a conversation with them and really still trying to be, you know, communal with them, you know, I would tell them, and this is actually true, that, you know, yeah, I do believe in Jesus Christ, but, you know, I know the story now, you know, but when I begin to talk about their story, they're like, oh, no, like, you can't function. Your mind can't function because you've already set yourself to believe that. And if you notice something, if you're in church, notice all your childhood questions always go unanswered, right? All your childhood questions always go unanswered, you know, because, you know, you're thinking logically as a child, but when they go unanswered, you know, you're just taught to believe that. And, you know, all the teachings in the Bible, you know, I still take lessons from those, but, you know, they got it from us. They got it from us. That's, you know, that's kind of a, you know, a shocker to a lot of people who are still Christians. And, you know, people are calling y'all stupid and, you know, probably calling y'all all kinds of names and stuff. And let me tell you why they're doing that. They're doing that because, you know, it's when we put this information in front of you, you still won't accept it. You know, it seems like you'll accept things in life, but when it comes to actual concrete God-given facts, you act like it's not from God anymore. You act like it's not from God anymore when you have concrete proof. You know, if God creates everything, you know, you act like that proof isn't God-given anymore. It's because it's challenging you to think. It's challenging you to think, and in a way, in a sense, it's challenging you to think against Christianity. That's I'm just saying it like it is, you know, because the purpose of Christianity, the purpose of the slave owners giving us the Bible is for them to control us. You know, they wouldn't give us something good, and we're not used to these conversations, so you probably heard this before. I had to repetitively hear this a lot of times before I woke up, and it took me 10 years to wake up. And honestly, thank God for my black men. When they say that the black woman and the black man is your savior, for me, they really are, honestly. Like, you know, it was my men who were responsible, you know, who woke me up. You know, my first boyfriend or ex, he was the first one to show me the picture of the Black Madonna and you know, Horus and Isis, you know, basically little baby Jesus being breastfed, you know, from his mother. But the Egyptian African image. He was the first one to show me that. And my second ex, you know, he was a financial aid advisor at USC, and I met him because I was sitting in for my little brother as a guardian. You know, I was like 23 at the time, and you know, he was the first one that told me about the Willie Lynch letter, and I did not know about that. Some of us still don't know about that. And when I say they woke me up, you know, it's been good ever since, you know. So I have to thank my own people, my men and my women. You know, we have to wake each other up. We have a responsibility to tell you this. Especially if we're in the same family, we're in the same community. You know, we've forgotten how it is to be free. We've forgotten how it is to treat each other like brothers and sisters. So when I went on that trip, it was the best experience in the world. I mean, I don't have to spend time waking anybody up because we're all on the same accord. We just a couple of black people just trying to get it together and get out of this system and find our power again. It was a really powerful experience to watch ancestral work being done, and for me to see it with my own eyes. It was beautiful. It really was. But you know, I don't think enough people know about the womb school. The womb school is a place where it's for men and women, you know, for you to learn about your womb health, and for you to learn what the African practiced before slavery. You know, we say Black Lives Matter. We say, you know, we love Black history every February, but you know, we don't want to really solve racism, because one, we think that we can't. We think that we're powerless. And you know, we're just afraid. We're afraid. And we've been taught to be afraid. You know, we're not being taught to be independent. And you know, we have to really start learning. We have to start learning our history. You know, I had a teacher aide that I work with, and, you know, she would always say, you know, when those fucking slave movies came out, you know, she would always say, you know, and I love her, but she would always say, you know, black people need to know this. They need to know about our history, you know, when the slave movies come out. And I say, yeah, but equally, we need to know our other roots, you know, the roots from the beginning when, you know, we were ruling. We need to know that history. We need to have an equal balance. We need to know that, because if we're constantly seeing images of us being slaves, I'm not with that shit. I was watching cable, you know, over the weekend, and I saw Jimmy Kimmel Live, and, you know, he was talking about racism like it was nothing. You know, obviously he was talking like he was against it, but, you know, if you were really against it, you would be more sensitive. It wouldn't be comical. You know, that's why I say these motherfuckers are some racist ass people. You know, like Ellen DeGeneres and all these fucking celebrities, they don't give a fuck. They don't give a damn. You know, they could stop this shit, but you know, nobody's stopping it, and it's our responsibility to take care of ourselves. It's our responsibility to wake each other up. It's our responsibility to hold each other's hands through the tears of unlearning what we've been taught, you know? I can't think of anything more cruel than to take away somebody's religion by force and give them another one. You know, but that's what happened. That's what happened to us. And we have to keep having the conversation, but it's crazy when you talk to some people and they can't think. You know, it teaches you not to think, because Christianity and African will never go together. It'll never go together, because it's been designed for it not to go together, to keep you separated from your people. And I remember a long time ago, I was in Walmart, and this had to be at least 7 years ago, when I was just, starting to wake up. And it was this black dude. He worked at Walmart, and he was talking to another dude that worked at Walmart. And he was talking to a dude and a female, and he was like, "Y'all some slaves." And they were like, "We not slaves. I'm not a slave." And, I agreed with the dude and the girl. Like, yeah, if he was talking to me like that, I would say the same thing. I'm not a slave. But, after doing research, and this research came about maybe a year or two later, they have this code, this law, in the Congress or whatever, that, you are a slave. And this is the United States Corporation. This is a corporation. It's not really just a country. It's a business. And, all the silly little laws that they make up, that's for them to have for us. But, that's what that dude was talking about. And I can see that now. So some things I'm talking about right now, you might not be able to see it now, but on your own journey to waking up, you'll be able to see it later. You'll be able to see it later. But I don't think it's okay that we keep going without knowing our history. Even at the end of the day, when we both log off of here, you're still black at the end of the day. You still don't have your power. You don't know how powerful you are. And everybody else practiced their ancestors. Every other culture does it, but us, because they want to keep it away from us. But ours is the most powerful. And we don't know that, and it's time we know that. So if you're interested in learning about this stuff, you can always hit me up. I'll tell you my personal experience. Even some sisters in the womb school haven't been to the Ancestral Way masterclass yet, but I've been talking about it because, we need to know about this. We need to know about this because, obviously when you see all of this stuff going on in society and you black and you try not to get shot and get pulled over, the main thing for all of us is, someone else is in power. We can't control a thing, and we really don't want to die unjustly. We don't want to die unjustly, but, that's why we need to learn this. So we can be free from those thoughts and free from all of the bullying that we experience in society. So, it's crazy, but, it was a real good experience going out there to learn about our culture. It was wonderful working with all of those women, all of these like-minded people, and just having good conversation, having fun, and just, it was really fun. It was really fun. And people don't really trust me because, I've spent a lifetime of being quiet and being, in the background and being, just basically quiet. So when I do speak out about stuff that I'm serious about, I don't sound like I'm serious to most people because, I'm around a lot of people that don't think like I do. And when I say things, they'll be like, "Oh, be careful," and this and that, and but they don't they don't really know me, and I don't, I'm not gonna set myself up for a trap. Not saying that, I've done things right all the time, but I'm not that stupid. So if you want to know about any of this information about the womb school or the ancestral way, hit me up. And also, make sure you're following me at Lavetta Janine and Lumen Chic Princess. And also, make sure you like and support Sewing Unity for Women and Girls. And congratulations to all the babies going back to school. I know y'all are proud parents out there. I'm still going to have my 10 tips. I haven't decided the title, but to ensure that your child goes to a quality preschool. And, you know, I actually have 2 tips for you. Let me see. One is look for teachers that allow separation anxiety to take place. And separation anxiety is when your child is separated from you and they begin to develop an anxiety because they're not used to being around, to not being around you, especially in the 1-year-old to 5-year-old stage. You know, it's a really high level of separation anxiety. So when I say look out for teachers, and shout out to Miss Preston, because, you know, she's an amazing teacher, but look out for teachers who allow separation anxiety to take place. That means when you drop your child off from the first time, I'm talking 2 to 5-year-olds. When you drop them off, you know, it's normal for them to cry. It's normal for them to tantrum like you've never seen before. It's normal for them to throw fits and to hit and to, you know, toss all over the floor. You know, you want teachers that will allow that to take place and not try to control them or say, you know, mommy's not coming back. Instead of saying that, listen to teachers who say mommy will be back soon, or, you know, mommy will be coming soon, you know. But teachers that allow separation anxiety to take place, from my experience, you know, that's a good teacher to leave your child with, because, you know, they're getting used to it. So even when you try to push your child towards the teacher and they say, no, let them be comfortable. Let them, you know, do their thing. You know, that's a good sign of a good teacher that knows what they're doing. And another tip is, where is it? Pay attention to the mid-impression and the last impression of a preschool center. Sometimes the first impression isn't always a good impression. Now, with the exception, unless you see something that you just don't agree with, then I'm with that. You know, don't send your child to that center if you don't want to. If you see something that you don't agree with in your soul. But other than that, look out for the mid-impression and the last impression. See how your child is doing throughout the semester, and see how they develop, and get to know the teachers, you know. And if you feel like they've made a good impression, then that's good. And the reason that I say don't look at the first impression is because we're working at a school. Sometimes principals will come in, and, you know, principals are different. Some are very strict and some are not, but, you know, they all work the same for the goal of the school. But kids know when visitors pop up, principals are there, so the teachers are really making sure everything is taken care of. We make sure that, and this is just real life, we make sure that everything is just taken care of anyway. But, you know, it's a principal's job to make sure, absolutely sure, that everything is going well. And when kids sense, you know, things, so they'll begin to act up a little bit. And, you know, I've been through that. We've had visitors come in and the kids will act crazy, but when they're not here, you know, they go back to normal, you know. So we also teach kids how to behave, you know, when visitors are here, you know. But that's another one. Make sure they have a good make sure the impression sits right with you throughout the semester. And one other parental tip that I have is, I have some parental tips too. So one other one that I have is picture day. When it's picture day, make sure that you tell your teacher the teacher that's teaching your child, make sure you tell them to fix their hair and their clothes and everything, because you don't really want, anyone strange around your children. I'm not saying anything, and I have a reason to, but this is just parental awareness, things that I see, things that a teacher sees, in the school environment, some extra information that parents can have to ensure that they have a good, safe experience. So make sure you go and like and follow Sewing Unity for Women and Girls. I'm still going to be having projects coming up soon, and I will keep you posted on my collection that's coming up. But it's time to wake up, and it's time for us to really start learning our history. So if you have any questions, let me know, and I will be getting back to you guys soon. Kwaheri.